G'day YouTube, it's Turbo Tristan here. Sad day, today is my last day of my holidays and I didn't get as much done as I thought I would. This is where we're at the moment. Engines together. Now I filmed all sorts of bits and pieces, so this one's gonna be a little bit all over the place. I filmed a little bit each day, what I thought was interesting. I've also done a bit of time lapse of me dressing the engine up, but we run into some minor issues, just needing some hardware, bolts, different things like that. Technically, I could shove this engine in, but we need to probably change a couple of things. We're also gonna put on the rear brakes and attempt to do the rear suspension today, being the last day, so it's Friday. I go back to work on Monday, not looking forward to it. I was kind of enjoying sleeping in, staying up late, working in the shed, doing my own thing, but now I've got to go back to the Monday to Friday, 9 till 5 grind. Hopefully for not much longer once we get the spoolup.com.au website up and running. Stick around, I'll show you where we got to. We've made tons and tons of progress. The car is looking amazing from what we've done so far. So I think you guys will be happy and impressed. I know I am. I just wish I could have gotten more done. G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I've never met anyone who doesn't love an E30, and I've actually seen quite a few really cool ones being modded just lately. On the Full Boost channel, they did an M5 V10 swapped E30. We're doing an M54 B30 swapped E30, and the reason for that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But yet again, shout out to Brintech for all their help and everything with the engine. Lawrence and Tony from Brintech built this motor, and also, how could I forget this long into the build to mention my mate Josh, who works at Brintech also. Josh and I go way back from my old GTR days. The guy knows everything about everything and he's a top bloke. Thanks again for your help, Josh. I know you've been behind the scenes putting all of this together. I've had Lawrence on the phone almost every day this week, just asking him questions because, as I've said before, I'm not a BMW guy. This is my first time pulling one apart and putting one back together, hopefully properly. I've only ever really fitted suspension in one before. So yeah, this is a huge learning curve for me, and please forgive me if I do make any mistakes, but I've got Wikipedia, so we're gonna read some stats out and talk about this engine going in the car now. So the E30 up there is from 1990. It came out with a 1.8 litre. It was a 318i, so 1.8. And that lived in here. And there was tons and tons of room. Now, I've seen Brintech do LS conversions, 6-cylinder conversions, M3 conversions. I've seen V10 conversions in these cars. They've got a huge engine bay. You could fit pretty much everything in there. I've seen RBs, 2Js, everything possible in there. The reason why we are sticking with this engine is because it's from the BMW family. By the time we're finished with it, it's basically going to be up to par with a E46 M3. I think that's, you know, not unfair for us to call. That would be on par with the performance and everything of one of those. Now this one has had a ground up rebuild. So it's been rehoned, had the head machined, all the valve train has been done, the timing chain's been done. It's got some Schrick cams in there, so for some better breathing mods. All the valve stem seals, valve guides, everything's been changed. It's got brand new rings and bearings, but we're retaining the OEM pistons and rods, and it's had the crank shaft all balanced and everything. Everything's been gone through on the whole car, thanks to Tony and Lawrence from Brintech Customs. Now this engine is from the M54 family. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And it came out in a number of vehicles that have the denotion 330i or 530i or 730i. Again, don't shoot me if I'm wrong, but that's what I'm led to believe. And this engine in factory form makes 170 kilowatts at the crank right there. Now we're getting this one tuned and it has some cams in there and it's had a fresh rebuild. So hopefully it's bumped the compression up ever so slightly. The cams are going to help it breathe. We're going to have some high flow custom built extractors, which we'll get to in a moment, and a cold air intake. So that should get us close to around 200 kilowatts at the flywheel once it's all tuned. So a 30 kilowatt increase on an NA engine. Now to give you some perspective, the engine that was in here was a single cam. This is a twin cam. And it was a 1.8, this is a 3 litre, so almost double the size, and it made a whopping 111 horsepower or 83 kilowatt at the flywheel. So we're more than doubling the power of the car, but the torque is the huge thing. We're going from 163 Newton meters, according to Wikipedia, to over 300 Newton meters of torque and over about 250, 260 horsepower, maybe a little bit more, who knows. So massive, massive upgrade. We've got the stopping power, we've got the gearbox, we've got the clutch, flywheel, everything to help this engine be its best self in this beautiful example of an E30, which is getting a full restoration, which includes lights, grille, outside paint. We've Raptor coated all underneath the car, new radiator, new aircon, new brake master, and huge Willwood brakes. Check these out. We haven't even fitted up the 4-piston rear and the 6-piston fronts yet. It's time to upgrade the subframe for the E30. Now Brintec supply these really awesome laser cutout plates, and they go on here like so. And it's just a matter of placing them on, welding them up, doing your very best. I've already gone ahead and done the other side. Now I've just used my gasless MIG. These are the raw welds. They're not super sexy TIG welds, but they are very, very strong. I've got very good penetration and everything there, so I'm really, really happy with that. On the other side, which is I think equally, if not more important, is another brace that goes here. This one took me a minute to figure out, but basically you just take that, jam it in there and get that tacked in place, and then just sort of move it around, and then that will work exactly as intended. Even had it around the wrong way for showing you. So that's the way it goes, just like that. And then that braces up everything, so strengthens here and here. And if you have a look at that, it is quite a thin piece of steel, and it's going to be supporting a lot of weight and a lot of torque. So I'm going to go ahead and get these welded on, just like I did on the other side, nice and strong. I'll show you how it looks once it's all welded on, grinded down and painted. Be back soon. As usual, whenever I'm refurbishing something or rust treating and just future-proofing things for the future, I always like to use the CRC black zinc. Now I've already sort of done one coat on that side. Watch how easy this stuff lays on. So we'll just go here. Done. So we're just going over a lot of that filth, but this stuff covers over everything and makes it look absolutely brand new. And at the same time, it's treating rust, so you cannot go wrong. Make sure we get it right in there. And I haven't had any issues with it like running or anything. It's quite thick, so you know it's heavy duty. It's the next day and everything has been put onto the refurbished rack. So you can see there that nice finish from the CRC black zinc, and the reinforcement plates are on. I've gone ahead and stuck the engine mounts on because this is going to be pretty tricky to get to once the engine is sitting up here. And I've also put on the purple tag, which is how they refer to these. Steering rack. Now this gives you better turns lock to lock. I think instead of 4 turns or whatever, it's like 2.5 or 3 turns. I've put on one of the supplied uni joints, and then I'm just trying to figure out which uni joint I need for this end, because we need to replace it with this steering shaft, which is cut to length. So the next step now will be to put the engine, voila, up here and situate it on the cross member or subframe, whatever you want to call it. Now, in an ideal world, I would have loved to do a full exploded view of all of the parts out on the ground and what you get with the kit. It comes with everything, and we have been talking about it individually as we go through. We've got a Skyline diff in the rear, which is all custom made by Brintec. We've modified the floor to fit a stronger brace for the diff, heaps of stuff. So make sure you go back and watch those older videos, which are only a couple of days old. I've been working on this. This is day 10. Yesterday I did a full day as well, so day 9, and also day 8. We've been smashing out the content on this and smashing out the work. A lot of it's behind the scenes that I haven't filmed, getting my head around everything, learning, restoring, and just, yeah, lots and lots of dirty work. But we're doing this. This one's a love job for my landlord who owns Spool Up headquarters. So we're helping him out. He's helped us out by looking after me on this place. So yeah, we can't thank him enough. That's enough crapping on for now. We're gonna dive into it. I'm gonna get all the parts that we need to fit to the engine today, and I'm gonna lay them out on the floor beside here, and we're gonna talk about them. I'm gonna slap it on a time lapse, and I'm gonna get to work putting them on. So just down here on the ground and on the bench is what I'm hoping to accomplish by the end of today, which will be installing the manifold. We do have some new manifold gaskets here supplied by Brintec. We'll also be installing the custom made headers. These are made by, I believe, Josh at Brintec. Merge collector, 3-into-1, 3-into-1, and then that will go into 3-into-2 into 1. So we'll probably do like a final 2.5-inch exhaust system on this. Got to try and get the aircon on, the power steering on, this bracket here, which is for just an idler pulley. We've got a brand new alternator over there on the bench. We've got our custom made Brintec Customs 3.5-inch air intake with a K&N filter. We've got all of the radiator hoses to go on. Custom made air box, which we won't be putting that on today, but I'm just laying it out to show you guys. We've got to get the Getrag transmission bolted to the back of the engine, which means installing this brand new light and flywheel and this brand new clutch. And then we also have the custom made gearbox cross member, which goes up there under the car. So I've got my work cut out for me. I've said it a million times, I'm definitely not up to speed with how BMWs go together and come apart. This sort of stuff, yeah, famous last words, shouldn't be too hard, but we'll see how we go. I've already gone and swapped onto the new steering rack and swapped out the arms. These were the ones from, I think it's an E36 maybe. So we've taken these off, put the E30 ones in there, and we've ordered some brand new steering rack ends or tie rod ends, whatever you want to call them. This one was fine, but this one is a bit bananaed, so I thought, hey, let's get a set of brand new ones. 50 bucks brand new delivered, so we've got those coming in. And yeah, I'm going to stick this on a time lapse because I'm not sure how long this is all going to take me, and I've no idea what I'm doing. I've gone ahead and I've slapped on one of the Wilwood brake calipers in the rear, so this one's ready to go. So we've got those bad boys on there. They're pretty monstrous. These are a 4-piston Wilwood caliper mounted on custom brackets made by Brintec with custom hats, anodized blue, that's their color. We've got the custom braided brake lines, and everything else is all set up ready to go. So I'm just going to go throw the other side on, and they bolt to the factory pickup points where the factory tiny little calipers, like a single piston tiny little thing there, but they bolt off there to add on the monster Wilwoods. After that, I'm finally going to grow some balls and rip out the subwoofer system that's in the back. It's quite an expensive sound system, and I've been hesitant to just sort of tear it out, but I don't really have a choice. So I'm going to pull that out. I'm not really into wiring sound systems either, so that's going to be fun. Hopefully it'll just be a few plugs to unplug, move the box, get to the suspension, put the Titan coilovers in the back or the rear shocks, and we'll get that set up so we can put wheels on the back and just get it looking more like a complete car. Fast forward a few hours, it's now Friday afternoon, and I've got the wheels on and I've got the brakes fitted, but I just wanted to point out this is the sub box. Great custom work, great custom job, but real pain in the butt to get out. I had to remove the speakers because there was holes drilled in the top of the parcel tray straight down into the top of the speaker box, and I had to unwire all this stuff and move that to pull it out so there was enough length on the wires to be able to move this out, just to get to 2 bolts on that side, 2 bolts on that side to fit the Titan coilovers. Okay, so we do have one issue, and that is that the brakes are touching the wheels, so we need to get some 5mm spacers. They're just sitting on there now. I haven't even spun them, but just by tightening down the bolts, just so I could put the weight of the car on the shocks to measure the height and stuff, it's scratched ever so slightly, but we'll touch that up. We may even paint them, who knows. But we've got the Titan coilovers in, SP3s, and at the moment it's at its maximum low setting, and there's still quite a bit of height in the car. So it was much lower before on the KYB shocks and those blue coils. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like once it settles down. But yeah, we've got these bad boys in. I've actually ordered some 5mm spacers, which will go on here, which will give us clearance. We're only about 1/2 mil too narrow now, but 5mm will give us plenty of clearance. And yeah, get that away from the brake calipers and the massive brakes. They barely fit behind these wheels. So there's not a huge amount of space. These are massive Wilwood brakes. And this is just the rear, so hopefully they fit on the front because they are the same size wheel. If anyone wants to know, this is a 17-inch wheel and they're just barely fitting there. You could probably fit a 16, but it'd be even tighter again. So the things that you find out, this was never intended when the person who bought these wheels chucked them on to have monster Wilwood brakes. But yeah, back to putting all the sound system back in. I took heaps of photos of where the wires and everything went because I'm no wiring guru, said it a million times. Where we got to in the engine bay is, this is just dummied in here. We're getting a brand new one of these. I've hooked up the air conditioning lines, the radiators in, the condensers in, and the receiver dryers in. Battery's just sitting there for now, which is where it's going to stay. I've put in the brake booster, which is a smaller one, an upgraded one, and put back in the brake master. I've also mounted the filler for the radiator, so that's all in. In the back, I have gone ahead and fitted an aftermarket 325 fuel pump. I'll chuck a photo in just here. So we've swapped that out. That was, you know, something that's definitely not necessary, but because we will be tuning the car and it does have bigger cams, we decided to upgrade the fuel pump at the same time, so that was awesome. And there was a little bit of rust and stuff in the tank, so putting a new filter bag on there helps with all of that. So here's where we got to under the rear of the car. I've filled up the diff, so that's all good. I've put a little note there to remind myself because I'm not sure how long it will be until we get back here. As I mentioned, we'll do a full coilover rundown and review. These ones are sourced locally from Titan Motorsport. So they went in like a dream. I've adjusted everything down to max low at the moment, and I've also gone ahead and put the wheelwood brakes on in the rear. Calipers, lines, everything's all done. However, I have had to order some 5mm spacers just because they are touching and the wheels obviously now don't turn, and we don't really want to scratch up our brand new wheelwood calipers. Underneath the car, we've seen this a couple of times already, the Raptor lining is all done. I've got to mount the shifter, but I've also gone ahead and put some heat shielding / extra sound deadening there. The headers are going to run down here, and then we're going to have a cat and then off to the back of the car. So I've also fitted up the front coilovers, both sides, and the wheelwood brake calipers and braided brake lines. I've gone ahead and ordered some front LCAs, so that will help get all this on. We're going to reuse the offset bush ones that we had. I've just marked them driver and passenger side. Not sure that it matters, but I did it anyway. Bought brand new hardware for the cradle / subframe. Still got to fix up the wires here. All of these plugs all cracked and broke when pulling them apart. That's going to be fun. I'll probably have to re-solder on new plugs on everything because we are changing the headlights to some blacked out ones, and we're getting some blacked out fog lights as well. And just trying to track down a bigger lip, one that's about double the size for the front. And then in October, so about a month time, this will be sent off and fully resprayed on the outside. I'm really enjoying the build. I really love this car, and I cannot wait until it's finished. It's going to be an absolute screamer. It's going to sound amazing, go amazing, have heaps of power and torque, as you would have seen from the earlier clip where I compared power and torque on the engines. So we're pretty much 3 times the power that it came with and more than double the torque, I think it was. So yeah, it's going to be a huge improvement, plus everything is brand new on this car. Anyway, that's enough for this video. Don't want it to drag on more than it already has. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate a like and a subscribe. It helps the algorithm know that you guys are watching and to recommend my videos. Hopefully some people in Germany pick this up and this takes off overseas. Maybe they'll appreciate it a bit more, but thanks for watching. Don't forget to spool up, bring the boost, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.